probably need to talk about the transfer window because obviously we were together last Sunday, weren't we? And we were kind of like speculating as to what would happen. It was all a bit late in the end, Alfie, wasn't it? You know, considering we kind of like knew what we needed from going into it, it all just seemed to be a bit late. And
and Cole Larin was pretty much done. I mean, 24 hours before it was announced. You know, there was no debate. But a news post came out on Sky Sports News at like 5 o'clock on the deadline day saying, "Oh, Cole Larin's completed his Saints medical." It was like, yeah, he literally did 24 hours before that. But they were waiting to announce
slow sports news.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, I'm not having a go at them. I'm just saying this one instance. But like, it's all a chain, isn't it? Like buying a house. So they had to wait for this Adam Armstrong deal to go through, which obviously there was hinging on Strand Larsen and other players, and even Mateta to Milan and all this sort of stuff. So I guess it was like a chain. We had to wait for each one to fall by the other. And then it came down to the fact that Mallorca were playing in a La Liga game that night, which finished at about 9:30. So they didn't want to announce it while they're mid-game, if that makes sense. So then we ended up announcing it at 9:45 after a 7 p.m. deadline, which when I'm sat there, you know, since 7 in the morning, is very frustrating. It's very boring. But yeah, I thought it was. If you look at it for the big picture, it is a bad transfer window for Saints because of where we are and what it means. But in the real nitty-gritty context of right now, I thought they did do what they kind of had to do. They did, as we discussed earlier in the podcast, they did thin the squad down. They did get some money in when they didn't sell enough players in the summer. But I know that it's just the fact that we're in January, we're 15th in the table, and obviously fans are going to be clearly frustrated when what they perceive as a lack of ambition when, you know, you're selling top goal scorer, selling Ronnie Edwards, not buying anybody, just loaning players in, not making a real, you know, conceited effort to go for it, I suppose. But there are so many different factors there with the amount of players we've had in the squad. And is there any point in moaning about the size of the squad and then bringing in 4 more players and still being stuck with Samadozi hanging on and players like that? So I can see both sides of it.
Do you two both agree? It was just a bit meh in the end, wasn't it? And it's correcting problems that they haven't addressed or previously got wrong.
Yeah, I think the Armstrong one for me personally, I would have said, well, we're not going to get like the fee that we would get in the summer if we sold him isn't going to be an awful lot less than we've got now. And having Adam Armstrong as an option, given that he scored 35 championship goals for us in nearly 2 years. Is probably going to be quite a useful option to have, even if you've decided, okay, he's not necessarily making my regular starting 11 anymore. He gives you that option. You know that he will have that run where he will score 4, 5, 6 goals back to back and will win you games. And having that difference maker, I think, would have been useful given the amount of ground we've got to make up. And there's obviously the optics of what it looks like. As Alfie says, it looks like, well, where's the ambition if we're selling our top scorer halfway through the season when we're only 7 points off the playoffs? Is that a sign that we're basically giving up? I've heard and seen a lot of people saying that, and it's an absolutely fair stance to have. I think you're basically selling your top goal scorer for what feels like a bit of a knockdown price when Wolves have just taken in 45 million quid for Strand Larsen, a guy who's got 1 goal all season. And so it's not like Wolves were tight for money and that was all they could afford. We could have surely squeezed that into at least an 8-figure deal.
But then I do think, realistically, could you twist someone's arm into paying £12 million for Adam Armstrong? Could you really? Because I'm not sure you could.
I mean, the thing is, in January, there's no value. That's what everyone says, isn't it?
Yes.
There's no value because people don't.
But we've
really
given them
want to lose.
Now.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, that's going to be my point. You know, if we'd gone to permanently sign a striker, do you think we'd have got one? It was reasonable for 7 million. We tried that in the summer and it didn't work, did it?
Yeah.
So I do feel like it's a little bit on the cheap side, even if it does rise to the 9 million with the add-ons and whatnot. But it's happened. Got to get on with it. I mean, my overall view of the transfer window is that we corrected a lot of the things that we should have done in the summer.
Yeah.
We discussed the Damien Downs thing to death. And obviously you can't do everything in one transfer window. But one thing that keeps coming back to me was, and I can't remember when it was said or even who said it, about that we didn't get enough players out in the summer, and that that left things a little bit tight money wise, and his supporters never want to hear it, but we've just been discussing Leicester. Books need to be balanced. It's a fact of life. So you can't, we didn't use the loan market at all for the first half of the season because we had a squad of 30 players or whatever it was, who all on paper could have been able to, should have been able to do a job in the Championship. But we have fixed a couple of mistakes. I mean, the 3 players that have come in, Carl Larin, we've already seen that he's going to contribute one way or another. The goalkeeper has already contributed, even though he's not perfect. And the other one is obviously James Bree coming back in, which is, again, makes you look at the summer and think we signed 2 right backs in the summer to replace him.
Absolutely, yeah.
And we bought him back on loan because he's better than the 2 that we've signed.
Well, Mads Rørsted, by the way, is now just seen a specialist again for this Achilles bursitis. Obviously, it's not his fault. It's a shame for him, but he hasn't been available for 4 months, and there's no sign of him being available anytime soon. So, that was a bad one.
Yeah. But
fortunately, a relatively cheap one, but still.
Well, we don't always being paid. Mads Rørsted in the Premier League, he might be being paid a fair chunk.
Probably would be, yeah.
Was it a 2-year deal or 1 year?
4-year deal.
No,
Mads Rørsted. Yeah, 4-year deal with Mads Rørsted. Yeah, I mean, look, obviously, hope, fingers crossed, it gets it sorted. He's back playing in a month or 2, whatever. But if this is a problem long term, and he doesn't play any games really for 4 years, I mean, it's a horrific deal. And we've been here before with players like that, obviously, Ross Stewart. So hopefully, for his sake, he's okay.
Surely.
Yeah. Well, is that thing? Is it if you can't play, you get money back? Do you? Oh, okay, fair enough.
It's in a way, yeah. There are. I mean, there are as with everybody's personal sort of Bupa insurance or whatever.
Well, I mean the club. I don't mean Mads Rørsted.
No, but it's the same for like the club will have insurance for most, if not all, of their players because they're assets. So you will insure it, and that the club will pay a premium for the year based on past injury record and premium for Ross Stewart will be off the scale, obviously.
We've obviously made a few quid on him then if don't play for 3 years, so that's all right.
But it's another one they got wrong there, isn't it? Essentially, is what we're saying. It's another one to add to the list.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, the genius move of the transfer window was getting a fee for Bella Kotchap.
Yeah.
Because I thought this was the last year of his contract and he would basically just wind it down and then move as a free agent. Yeah. Out on loan at wherever he is. But they've obviously
they wanted to make it permanent, didn't they? Some
dealers,
they didn't want to risk not being able to sign him, whoever he went.
Well, that's what it looks like on the face of it. Is that they'd rather pay the 4.5 million quid or whatever it is to sign him now rather than wait till the summer. Mind you, they probably worked out that he'll just go wherever he can. So I guess they're making sure they've got an asset to sell at some point if he wants to move on. So I mean, we've actually brought in about 18, 19 million quid when you add it all up, which, I know it's not exciting, but, it should hopefully.
Well, it saves us being in Leicester's position anyway.
And the wages as well, the wages that they've saved.
Yeah, Joe Rebo. I mean, him going, that's the end of his contract.
Same with Ryan Fraser.
Yeah. So Leicester can obviously afford to pay Joe's wages.
The point you made about Bella Kotchap is something that I think they're going to try and repeat with a couple of the players who are out on loan. I think Yuki Sugawara is one of them. I think he's getting on quite well in Bundesliga, so I wouldn't be surprised at all if they negotiate him. No, he's on loan with an option to buy for 7 million quid or whatever. But he's one that they will try and negotiate an early release fee for, I think, and they'll get that one done before the end of the season for Werder Bremen for slightly less, but you get the guaranteed money, no chance of getting injured, and then pulling out or whatever. And then maybe there's obviously a couple others in there. Ben Brereton Diaz scoring goals every week. Maybe he's one they can offload as well. So.
Got Will Smallbone out on loan as well, injured, I know.
Yeah, I feel for Will, but it's hard to see what's next for him, isn't it?
Yeah, difficult.